everyone. Hello. I am Lana Quest and welcome to the Quest Show. I am so proud of myself. I am here today. I am here on time. It is 8 o'clock. Yay! Kudos to me. How is everyone doing today? How are you liking the weather? I hear Florida is getting quite a bit of rain. I hope everyone is safe. Here in Massachusetts, it's pretty warm out. It's about 95 degrees outside, hence, the shiny forehead because it's a little warm in here. I worked out. So, yeah, I'm still trying to cool down. What else happened this week with me? I wasn't here last week. I wasn't here last Thursday specifically because I ran a 5K. So, right, 5K, only 3 miles, right? What could go wrong? How could that be difficult? I run just about every single day, 4 to 6 miles. I can run 10 miles inside on a treadmill. Piece of cake. Let me tell you. I knew, of course, that there's a difference between running inside and running outside. Of course, there's a difference in that. Nothing could have prepared me, though. I have not run outside in quite some time, probably prior to the pandemic or around the pandemic, I think, before I got my treadmill. Excuse the noise. Then I was on a track. So that's still a little better because it's still a little, feels like there's a little cushion underneath your feet. But man, oh man, that 3 miles felt like a whole marathon. Like, I'm not going to complain. I made it. I ran the whole way, but my time it's on the treadmill. I'm doing like a 9 to 10 minute mile. Nothing great, but it is what it is. It's not bad either. My miles, I was doing like I think a 12.12 mile, like a 12-minute mile or something like that. I don't know. I wasn't excited about it. It was hard, but I got through it. It was for a good cause. Lawyers have a heart, raising money for heart disease. So I am glad that I made it through and did that. So anyway, thank you. Oh, before we get started, thank you to all of my new subscribers. Yay, I'm finally past 500 subscribers. Like, yo, I think it's like 510. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Like, it's the small things. I would be here if I had 5 subscribers or 10 subscribers. I would still be here running my mouth talking about what needs to be talked about, because some important things are happening. And if you could just reach one person, and I'm not talking about trying to change a MAGA's mind, because why would anyone want to do that or try to do that? It's like talking to a rock. But if you could reach even a young person of voting age who doesn't really understand what's going on, how government works, then it's all worth it. So that is why I am here, looking like I just ran because I just did run. So it's all good. So we're going to start off. Also, I want to give a shout out to Brian from the Black and White Show. We do that show on Tuesdays. So if you don't see me here on Thursdays, you can check me out on Tuesdays at 8 o'clock on the Black and White Show with Brian Rundo. We did it last Tuesday. Oh, and before I get started too, yay, go Celtics. Like, I don't know. Everyone hates the Celtics. Everyone hates Boston. I get it. I don't care. I love the Celtics. Kudos to them because we will be hanging up our 18th banner because, Dallas isn't going to win 4 games in a row. So there's that. So let's start with some good stuff that's going on that people probably don't know or don't realize or just don't pay attention to because people love to complain. That just seems like the status quo is let's complain. Let's complain about everything. The economy is bad. How is the economy bad? I don't know. Everything's so expensive. Then why do you keep buying stuff? Why do you keep going on trips? Why do you keep buying those name brand shoes? Why do you keep buying those name brand purses if the economy is so bad? I don't know. Someone explain it to me. I just think like it's the default. You blame whoever new comes into office. It's their fault. It's always their fault. I get it, but at some point, come on, guys, like just do better. Like really just think about it. Because I noticed this the other day, and then I actually saw it on the news. Gas prices are down. And I noticed this on, I think it was Memorial Day. And I'm like, gas prices are down on Memorial Day. Normally, that's a heavily traveled holiday. So gas prices typically are up. People weren't complaining about gas prices. Why? Because gas prices are down. They're down 10 cents. So let's see. The national average right now is $3.40 a gallon. I think that's about right here in Massachusetts. And maybe less, I'm pretty sure, in southern states or whatever, and it's probably a little higher in California, but the national average is falling at about $3.40 a gallon. It's that way for a reason, right? Because we always want to say, oh, it's Biden's fault. Everything is Biden's fault, especially when things you feel are not going right. It's Biden's fault. I don't know why no one blames Trump for anything. It's such a weird thing. It's almost like Trump has gaslighted everyone into believing everything that comes out of his mouth when that's not what you should be doing. You should think that everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth is a lie first, and then you go back and you have to look it up to make sure that it's true, because everything is a lie that comes out of his face. Well, I guess it is his face too, but everything is a lie that comes out of his mouth, unless he's projecting about the things that he wants to do. Those are the things that are true, because those are projections. We'll get back to that plenty of time. So gas prices are down. Biden has been strategically increasing in drilling, the domestic drilling, right? Because what we don't want is to keep being dependent on the Saudis. So we are drilling here domestically in America. So he has increased with that. That is another thing that Donald Trump has lied about. He has said that, he's the guy. He's drill, baby, drill. Have you ever seen him say that? There's a video of him doing a stupid freaking dance talking about drill, baby, drill. No, it's not him. It is Biden. Biden is the one that has increased it strategically and on purpose, because he wants to relieve you of some of these costs, the cost at the pump. Wherever Democrats can find a way to give you relief, that is what they do. Like, they actively do it, and they tell you that they're doing it, and then there's data to back up that they have been doing it. So he's been boosting domestic energy production so that the market stabilizes and to reduce our dependency on foreign oil, just like I said. So we're not going over to the Saudis trying to work out a deal with them to get more oil. We have just been mass drilling so that we have a reserve right here and that we could keep our gas prices low. So gas prices are down 10%. Data doesn't lie. Republicans do. What else is down? Groceries are down. Oh, hold on. I know not all of the groceries. I get it. I get it. It's okay. Not all groceries are down. However, Remember you guys were like, eggs, the price of eggs is crazy. Eggs, 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 eggs. I didn't know people ate eggs like that. I didn't know it, but people were pretty pissed that the price of eggs were up to whatever they were up to. I don't know because I don't buy them that often. But the price of eggs have fallen the most. What else is down? Yeah. Oh, look, eggs. Eggs are down 7.3%. I can't read my notes. You know what? Maybe I should have my glasses on. That will help. So eggs are down 7.3%. Fruits and vegetables, just a little bit. Fruits and vegetables are still pretty high, but then again, I buy my fruits and vegetables at Whole Foods. So they're just high in general. So I can't even gauge it right now with what the regular cost of fruits are because of where I'm buying it. So that's my fault. And I wouldn't even really complain about it because, again, I know where I'm buying them from. So I know that they're going to be more than the average, but they are down 0.8%. I guess alcoholic beverages, non-alcoholic beverages are down. So that must be like your juices and things like that. They're down 0.2%. This is not a lot. I understand that. But there's movement, right? Things are going down. But this is something that Biden cannot control, right? He can have more drilling, right, domestically to try to keep the gas prices low, even during times of, war in different places. You have Russia is attacking Ukraine, and then you have Israel doing what they're doing, trying to get Hamas, trying to get hostages. It's unsettling. That normally brings up our gas prices. Sometimes we don't even know why. It's just like an excuse for like Mobil and Shell and all of those places to say, hey, there's turmoil over there on that part of the world. Let's just raise our gas prices up and just blame it on that. Like, that's just basically what they be doing out here. So they're still down regardless. Your groceries are a different story because now you're talking about price gouging. Biden can't go into your local grocer and be like, yo, what you doing? He can't do that. He can't go to your farm and be like, why aren't you guys planting enough oranges so that, you don't have to charge so much? Like, he can't really control that part of it. That's your local grocery store. And that is why at this point, Target and Walmart and some of those stores are starting to lower the price of their goods because people are getting a little wiser with their shopping, not buying as much, not buying those products that are ridiculously high, because that too is the cause of a lot of the issues. There's several causes, right? It's like Brian and I talk about this all the time, and it's kind of, inflation is like this complicated thing because people think if there's inflation, then there must be like a recession or the economy is doing bad because there is inflation, and that's not how it is. Because the economy is great. People, if you have stocks, if you have bonds, if you have retirements, the economy is great for you. We have the greatest economy in the world right now. Other countries want our economy. If our economy was awful, no country would want it. We're outpacing China, Europe, all of those places. We are killing it, especially coming off of the pandemic. People thought we were going to be in a recession. We're not. Wages are up. Unemployment is down. There's tons of jobs. With all of those good things happening, that is why there's still inflation. Because wages are up, everyone is employed, and people are just buying. And when you're buying, the cost of goods aren't going to go down because the companies are like, yo, we profiting over here. We're not lowering our prices. When companies start lowering their price of goods, that's when people are like not buying or not purchasing them. That's when they start to lower them. So that's kind of what's happening in a nutshell. I'm not no financial person, so I don't know all of it. I just kind of know the basics, right? And then you also have to think, when you're talking about the economy being bad, you can't include your bills. Just because you have a lot of bills, or I have a lot of bills, or if I have a lot of credit card debt that I have to pay back, I can't be like, oh, the economy is bad. No, you just have a lot of debt. it's different. So the economy is good. Inflation, slowly but surely, they weren't able to drop any interest rates, but hopefully by September they are saying, but we are definitely on the right track. So that is some of the good news. I mean, it's not like the rest of the stuff is bad news, but it is what it is. What else happened? Hunter Biden, was that this week or last week? I lose track. He's been found guilty on 3 felony counts. Hey, Brian. Yeah, they're going to be complaining about the economy no matter what. Yeah, absolutely right. So Hunter Biden was found guilty. I don't even really want to talk about his trial. I really don't care about his trial. And you know why I really don't care about his trial? Because if he was anyone else, we wouldn't even know about the trial. Because we don't know about these things. When people are charged with this, and it doesn't happen often, happens practically never, do people get charged for lying on an application for a gun unless that same gun was used in a crime. Like no one gets charged for this. So that's why I don't really want to talk about it, because it's just dumb that we even know about this. Like, it's just dumb. When people get charged, who do you know? Have we ever seen anyone on the news talk about someone who has been charged with this? Just like a normal person. No, we don't. Even when there's a gun, even when there's a felony with the gun that was used, that they lied about on the application, you still don't hear about it. We only are hearing about it because of who Hunter Biden is. And Democrats, we're like the classy bunch. We're not going to run around and say, it's two-tiered justice system. It's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. Oh my God. Like, no, we're not doing that, right? Although we do understand clearly that these charges were brought because he is President Biden's son. Like, that's the only reason. If it was anyone else, nobody would even care, but people do care. What was bothering me and I don't even know if it was bothering me. It was just being highlighted just even more, because, you have Joe Biden, who is literally flying from the courthouse to Paris, back to the courthouse. Like, she was just like back and forth in and out of the country to support Hunter Biden, who is her son. It's like these MAGA trolls, like, oh, that's not her son. She's been his mom since he was a kid. He lost his mother when he was like, 5 or 6 or something, or maybe younger. I don't even know. She's been his mom. She is his mom. And this is the thing that Republicans don't understand, because they're ghouls. They just don't get it. It's like, she's there because she loves him unconditionally. Biden supports his son because he loves his son unconditionally, because that's what we do with our children. How many times have your children gone down the wrong path or done something that you're like, wow, why did they do that? But you still love them, right? Sometimes you can't even support the decisions that they make. You try to help them, you try to steer them right, but that love doesn't go away. You don't go, I don't love you anymore. You don't do that to your kids. You hope they come out on the other side. You hope they remember what you've given them, what you fed their soul. And the Biden family is so special at that because their love for one another, it oozes on the screen, and MAGA hate it. And I am convinced that is part of the reason why they hate Biden. Not because he's old. Yeah, they love saying that he has dementia. They hate, no, because there's genuine love with these people and they don't like to see it because Trump doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. Where was Melania? She didn't show up. They're like, Joe Biden was there because Joe was there during jury selection so she could, what, mean mug the jurors? Joe Biden? She was mean mugging? What are y'all talking about? What are you talking about? Trump had his surrogates there. They all had on freaking good granimals. They all looked alike, the blue and the red tie. And they don't even like him. His wife doesn't like him. His kids don't like him. And those surrogates don't like him. This is all what can you do for me? That's why they were there. So that's the thing that kind of like, it's like, wow. And the Republicans are the people, family values. That's who they are. MAGA family values, right? But then you have Lauren Boebert, whose son has all kinds of issues, was in court during Trump's trial for, what was he, was it armed robbery or something like that? Can't remember. While Lauren Boebert was at Trump's trial supporting him, her son was in court without an attorney and alone. MAGA family values. I learned today, Clarence Thomas, remember that great nephew that he had Harlan Crow pay for his tuition or something like that? Remember that guy? You know, his nephew was like his son. He raised him like his son. Well, his son is sitting in jail, I think for armed robbery as well, has been trying to reach out to his great uncle who raised him as his son, but Clarence don't got time for that because it's transactional. Like, why do I need to talk to you now? You're in jail, right? But he act like he loved him and, you know, all of this stuff. But now when he needs actual help and a dad, MAGA family values, y'all. Like, that's what's up. That's what's up. The Christians, you know, that's the Christians. Hypocrites, man. These are freaking the hypocrites, and they want to run the country. You guys should be scared. We should all be scared. We should all be scared. And let's continue to be scared. Let's see. Atlanta-based Fearless Fund, a grant program for Black women business owners, has been defunded. A U.S. federal court of appeal panel suspended a venture capital firm's grant program. So what this is the Atlanta-based Fearless Fund is a grant program for Black women business owners. There's money allotted for these Black business owners, Black women business owners specifically. So they were sued by a conservative group because the conservative group said, well, you guys are discriminating against us, the white men. And they use the Civil Rights Act as an example. However, the Civil Rights Act was actually for enslaved African Americans. But now the white people are using it to say all of these programs are discriminating against us. Trump started that. Remember when these indictments were coming down from Bragg, Letitia James, Fani? What did Trump say? They are racists. That's what he said. He called them racist. Why do you think they want to get rid of the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs? Right? Because they want to reverse it. They are the victims, not Black and brown people. The white people are the victims. I mean, it's not like they got a 400-year head start or anything, right? Am I right? Not like they got that. It's not like they enslaved people, their ancestors. It's not like their ancestors stole property from the Black people and farms from the Black people and took all the generational wealth from Black people. Look at Tulsa. The Oklahoma Appeals Court was like, nah, we deny. No reparations for you. We don't care, 110. We don't care how old you are. We don't care if you were there. We don't care if your whole generation was burned down. All your wealth is gone. You get nothing. Zero. Right? So generational wealth was taken from Black people. That is why we have these programs. So these programs help for a more equitable society. Right? Doesn't mean we're going to push Black people ahead. No, we want to make it equitable. That's all. Equitable. It's like you're running a race. You're Black person, white person, both running 5 miles, but the white person has already gotten the head start. Right? Just want equity. That's it. So they are defunding that program for Black women businesses, which is very unfortunate because Black women businesses only get 0.3% of grant money in general. 0.3% out of all business owners. White men are at the top. They get like 90% of the grants. Then it's white women. Black women are at the bottom at 0.3, getting help with their businesses. So now you take specific grant programs just for them because they get the least. Now you have people saying, well, it's against Civil Rights Act. It's discriminating against everyone else. This is what they're doing. This is the grand plan. And I'm going to sum all of this up in the end, but it's all why they don't want DEI programs. They want to halt the equity. They want to halt the progress of the marginalized. They want you to remain marginalized. They seek all the power. You see them. We watch them. That is why they want Donald Trump. Donald Trump is power hungry. What greater person to get the rest of them power is this fool? And speaking of fool, they're trying to hide how crazy he really is. How many out there trying to vote for Donald Trump? Like how many? Have you guys seen any of his rallies? They won't televise them. They won't put any on local TV, not even a portion of it. Not a portion. You know why? Because they don't want you to hear the real Donald Trump, the one that's not edited and cut up. They don't want you to hear the slurry words, but we're going to play the slurry words because we're going to always play the slurry words because you need to hear the slurry words. Let's go, Slurry.
Happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat?
Let's start that over.
To MIT, very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery and the battery's now underwater and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are crazy. He said there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand a young woman swimming now really got decimated, and other people too, a lot of shark attacks. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, you know, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark. So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said,
it was worse than that. Like, he's talking about electric boats, batteries, electric currents in water, a lady that got decimated. The shark wasn't hungry. Then he slurred some stuff. Then the boat is gonna sink and the water is gonna go on top of the boat. And apparently, Trump is gonna be on the top of the boat. Then he's gonna decide whether he wants to be. Like, what is he talking about? This is what they don't want you to see. Republicans know something's wrong. And something was wrong 4 years ago. So I don't know why y'all out here acting like Trump was normal 4 years ago, because he wasn't normal 4 years ago when he was talking about injecting a disinfectant, or telling people to go out and get ivermectin, and telling people that windmills cause cancer, and to rake a forest so that there's no forest fires. Like, he was saying dumb shit the whole time. His general said he doesn't read the briefs, right? He didn't read any of the briefs. He didn't read anything. Maybe the National Enquirer. He's a big dummy. That is why he didn't want you to see his grades from college. Why is that? He brags about his mental acuity all the time, but ain't nobody seen his grades. He was hiding them grades like he was hiding his taxes. He was not playing. You guys were not going to see that. Why? Because he's a big dummy. And not only is he a big dummy, he's unfit because he can't finish a sentence. It's not coherent. It's not cohesive. He talks about one thing and then he'll veer into another thing. I heard him talk about Argentina, and then he said that Argentina was a great guy. Stop playing, because local news is not going to air it. And we found out why, because the Sinclair Company, which is a right-wing company, owns most of the local news station, and apparently they get a script too. So they're reporting from a right-wing kind of way, and you don't even know it, right? You just think it's your local news, but they're piping this stuff into you. They're gaslighting you, and you don't even know that you're being gaslighted. It's pretty unfortunate. Sorry for the dogs. So let's keep going. Blah, 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 blah. All right. So South Carolina Department of Education has decided to eliminate AP African American Studies in high schools. Yeah, so no funding, no credit. Speaking of DEI, right? Speaking of not wanting diversity, equity, and inclusion into your schools, this is another part of what they're doing. It's another piece of the puzzle. They keep stacking the pieces into the puzzle, and then they're going to get their goal, because their goal is to keep people uneducated. They want to rule the airways. They want to control the media, kind of like Putin. They want to control the school system. They've already said it. I think it's in Project 25 that they're talking about that. They want to get rid of the Department of Education. They want your kids to have a steady diet of Christian propaganda. Yeah. Slavery wasn't so bad. Black people learned skills during slavery. That's what they want you to know. So South Carolina is the third state to get rid of it, and it won't be the last. There's Florida, and then there's Arkansas. So none of those states have AP African American studies, right? But they have all the other studies. They have European studies. They probably got Japanese studies. They got all the others. But African American studies, nah, who needs that? They don't want kids educated. They don't want kids to know about systemic racism. They don't want kids to know about oppression. Because why would an oppressor want the oppressee to know that they're being oppressed, right? Because then you fight back. Then there's resistance. They don't want the resistance. If you don't know that you're being oppressed, you just think it's normal, right? These kids in these southern states will literally think that it's just normal. Like slavery wasn't a big deal. No, they learned skills. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't so bad. They got to stay with their families, right? Per Byron Donalds, he said Jim Crow wasn't bad. He said at least the family unit was together, right? That's a good thing, right? Am I right? Right, Byron? Let's hear Joy talk about it, because I can't talk about it as well as Joy Reid can talk about it, but let's go on and move there. Let's hear Joy.
During Jim Crow.
Let's back it up.
Last question, and then I'm going to ask a question.
Better people
last question, and then I'm going to let you go.
Mind you, through this whole interview, Byron Donalds was rude as fuck because he's a misogynist. And he didn't even want her on her show to get a word in edgewise because he's rude and he knows he's wrong. But Joy knows how to handle it. Let's proceed.
Last question. We're out of time, but I'm going to give you one more question. During Jim Crow, could your family have existed? You are in an interracial marriage. Your wife is a white conservative activist. Could your family have existed at all during Jim Crow?
No, it could not, Joy, and we all know that. But that's why I am blessed to live in America today as opposed to America during that time. But we cannot ignore the realities of not having fathers in homes. That is important for Black people today and all people today as we move forward for a better America.
We are out of time. What I'm grateful for is that we do not live in the Jim Crow era and that fathers do not face the threat of lynching.
I'm very grateful of that.
Perhaps don't bring up Jim Crow when you're trying to make that example. Representative Byron Donalds, thank you for being here. And
she read him his rights, right? Why are you bringing up? He's like, we all know. That's not what he said when he was talking in front of those people and as the Black people. And then they had the nerve to be like, that's right. Like, but what do we expect? If they're forgetting 4 years ago that Donald Trump was bad for this country, hell yeah, they're going to forget how bad Jim Crow was. They can't even remember that 4 years ago, millions of people died. But this, again, comes from a lot of whitewashing history. This is what this comes from. Then you have like a complicit community, in particular the Black community. Because when you can have a Black man that's here talking about, Jim Crow, it wasn't that bad. The family unit was together. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Byron? Like, what are you talking about? Black men were not in the families because they were dragged out, accused of raping white women, lynched, killed trying to vote, killed trying to work, killed just being who they are. Not just the black man. They were killing black children. It wasn't just black men. It was George Steiny. It was Emmett Till. It was children. Little girls in the church being bombed. So it wasn't just black men in the family unit. It wasn't even just black men being murdered. It was the women being raped and murdered and lynched. It was the children raped, murdered, lynched, drowned, beat, brutalized, trying to integrate. So yeah, Byron Donalds, then you wouldn't have said something so ridiculously dangerous. But again, this goes in line with what MAGA wants. AP African American Studies. They don't want it. They don't want Black history taught. They don't want those authors in the schools. They don't want your children to know what really happened, because if children don't know what really happened, they can't have empathy. They won't want change. It's just because everything is cool. It's supposed to be like this. Your circumstances are your circumstances. So we really, really, really got to be careful with this. This is why, again, voting is so important. Why would you be here saying the government can't tell me to take a vaccine? The government can't tell me to wear a mask. And here we are, the government is telling you how to educate your kids. Make it make a little bit of sense, like just a little bit of sense. But we can't and we don't. I want Jasmine Crockett to remind us why DEI is so important and why it's so dangerous that taking African American studies and taking away that AP course, or just taking away Black history classes, taking away the books, what that does in a society, what that does at a workplace, right? It's not even national. But even Jasmine Crockett, who's very established, she's still having to prove herself. She's still dealing with racism. She's still dealing with tropes. It doesn't stop just because of who you are. Barack Obama was the president of the United States. He still experienced racism. They just don't want you to be mad about it. They want you to just be complicit and think like it's okay. Let's listen to Jasmine.
That because I happen to be Black and or a woman, that somehow, even though I can rattle off all the qualifications in the world, my Blackness makes me unqualified. It did not seem as if my colleague understood that someone can be diverse and qualified. And it is why you have people like me that get very frustrated, not just in the halls of Congress, but in general in this country. Because as I'm sitting here and there seemed to be this question of you're either diverse or you're qualified, all I could think about was the fact that I currently hold an honorary doctorate. I also hold a Juris Doctorate. I also hold a bachelor's. I also technically hold the rank of Lieutenant Colonel in the Civil Air Patrol, and I actually practiced law for almost 2 decades, in addition to serving on various boards, in addition to being a prior state lawmaker. And there are those that would make some people believe that because I happen to be Black and or a woman, that somehow, even though I can rattle off all the qualifications in the world, my Blackness makes me unqualified.
And that is why, let's go back to the grants. That is why they don't want to give grants to Black women businesses, because Black women are killing the game right now, right? These racist white men are afraid. They're afraid. Black women are powerful. You saw that. She is. They're afraid of that. They don't want Black women to have businesses. That's why they're trying to just cut it off right at the beginning. Cut the spigot off. They get nothing. White men get 90% of grants for their businesses. But this little 0.3%, they're defunding that. Pick yourself up by your bootstrap, Black ladies. You pick yourself up by the bootstrap. We get the benefits, because that's how it's always been. That's why they don't want equity. They don't want equality. They don't want to share that. They want Trump. Let's keep moving. What time is it? 8:46. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about oh my God, Martha Ann. Oh, Martha. So Martha Ann Alito it wasn't even a hot mic, I guess. So let's go here. Lauren Windsor, a liberal documentary filmmaker, secretly recorded old Martha Ann at some conservative event. If you don't know who Martha Ann is, where y'all been under a rock? Martha Ann is the wife to Samuel Alito. Samuel Alito is on the Supreme Court. He's one of the justices. I mean, he's one of them justices like Clarence out here with his hand out, just getting everything, just getting the luxury trips and all of that, just out here doing whatever he wants. And remember, Samuel Alito also was flying that upside down flag on his house, and then he blamed it on his wife, Martha, and said, Martha must have done it. He ain't know nothing about it. And she did it in response to like the neighbors because they're mean and yelling expletives at her and some nonsense lie, bullshit lie, whatever. Upside down flag is like a MAGA flag. And then like a couple weeks later at his like vacation home or some shit, there was another friggin' white nationalist flag hanging out there. I don't even know if we got an explanation about that one. It was just there. So they love their flags, that's for sure. Probably not their freak flags, but they love the racist flags. So Martha Ann was asked some things by Lauren Windsor, and she didn't know that she was talking to a liberal. She thought she was talking to, a little conservative woman who shared her views. So let's see what Martha Ann was out here talking about.
We did that. Yes, we're never going back to Wounded Warriors, I'm afraid.
Isn't that awful, though? Why?
Oh, because of the security, security and all that. It's good we did that. We did that. Wonderful.
You really did? Something to be really proud of.
My little collection of flags from you.
Do you know that they created and ran the Wounded Warriors program here?
You would never know that because of how they're trying to persecute.
Oh, ignore all that. The reality.
I don't need their approval for anything in my life. I need nothing from them.
You don't, but the problem is that they use you to fuck. Pardon my language.
Your biography.
Lewis, I like you.
You deserve it. Thank you.
Take care.
They're persecuting you, and you're like a convenient stand-in for anybody who's religious.
Look at me. I'm German. I'm German. My heritage is German. You come after me, I'm going to give it back to you. And there will be a way. It doesn't have to be now, but there will be a way. They will know. Just don't worry about it. God, you read the Bible. Psalm 27 is my song. Mine. Psalm 27. The Lord is my God and my rock. Of whom shall I be afraid? Nobody.
I love that you have that attitude because that's more of what we need. I was telling your husband, I was like, and it should give you like a little bit of background. So I met him last year at this dinner, and I said to him, I was like, this country is so poor.
This is worth listening to. I know it's got a couple more minutes. Bear with me, but it's definitely worth listening to because Martha Ann is a whole racist and bigot, and she's just enjoying herself. Just the privilege, you could hear it in her voice. She's just the shit. She's German, whatever that means, and she just doesn't take anything from anyone because payback's a bitch, according to Martha Ann. But let's keep on listening.
Polarized. How do we repair that rift? And it's like, I don't know. It's not our role. And I told him this year, I'm like, for the past year, I remembered our conversation, and I looked at what happened to you and your wife, and I'm like, how is there any negotiating with the radical left? There's not. You cannot negotiate with the radical left. You have to just win.
They feel. They don't think.
No, but you have to win. And if we want to take this country back to like a godly place, to a moral place, that means that we actually have to just pardon my language again, I'm so sorry.
You know what I want? I want a Sacred Heart of Jesus flag because I have to look across the lagoon at the Pride flag for the next month.
Exactly.
And he's like, oh, please don't put up a flag. I said, I won't do it because I'm deferring to you. But when you are free of this nonsense, I'm putting it up and I'm going to send them a message every day. Maybe every week I'll be changing the flags. There'll be all kinds. I made a flag in my head. This is how I satisfy myself. I made a flag. It's white and it's yellow and orange flames around it. And in the middle is the word vergogna. Vergogna in Italian means shame. Vergogna. 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 Shame on you. Anyway.
Well.
Shame. Shame on anyone voting for Republicans. How about that? Shame on you for voting for these hateful fucking bigots. Martha Ann is disgusting, but she said something that's really important. She said, Democrats, they feel. Republicans, they win. We really haven't been winning, but she said Democrats, they feel. That's pretty big because it is true. Democrats feel. We want to help people. It is important to Democrats. Republicans, they want to win. They don't give a fuck about your feelings. They don't care. They want to win. That is privilege, and that is what MAGAs don't understand. And they tell you all the time, she said it, they just want to win. She also said when her husband is free of the nonsense, I guess the nonsense is the court, she's going to be able to fly whatever flag and do whatever she wants. Right. That goes back to what we keep saying about a Trump presidency. If Trump becomes president, he will immediately replace the retiring justices because guess who wants to retire? Thomas and Alito, especially Clarence Thomas with all this fire that's coming out. He wants to be able to have his luxury trips because just, I think today it was disclosed that there were like a couple more, 3 more luxury trips that he hadn't disclosed before. Like, it's friggin' endless. It's from 2017 to 2021. Who knows how many trips he's taken with Harlan Crow? He would love to be able to retire and just go and take his trips and live in a lap of luxury. And Donald Trump would add young Supreme Justices that would be on that court for the next 40 to 50 years. And they're taking your rights. That is their goal. You heard Ann Alito. There's another recording with her husband, Sam Alito, saying the same thing. They want an America that is like a church. Because these people are white nationalists, but they want to use the church for their dirty deeds. So they want the church to cover what they're actually really doing, because these people aren't religious. I mean, what religious person talks like a bitter, hateful, mean, racist bigot? She's pissed because she has to look at a pride flag. So she wants to write something talking about shame. Like, how about just mind your business? How about that? It's none of your business. It's insane. It's truly insane. But that's what they want. These are like little bits and pieces of a movie script. And the movie's not out yet. The movie comes out when if Donald Trump is elected. That's when the movie comes out. That's when we're all going to get the matinee. We're not going to be happy with that movie. We're reading the script. Stuff is all part of the script. Ann Alito, she's saying whatever the hell she wants to say. The conversations that her and Sam Alito are having at home. So when a case comes to the Supreme Court about serving, a gay couple, I think there was something like that, this cake thing, you don't have to do it. And before you know it, it's going to be like, I don't want them in my store, right? Not just making a cake because a gay wedding is against my religion. Gayness is against my religion. I don't want them in my store. I don't want gay people in my restaurant. Well, how do you think Sam Alito will rule? Right? Where does it stop? Black people? What do you think? Do you think that they're going to just think like, oh, you're black, but you're American, we're not going to touch you? That's not how that's going to work. We've talked about this, y'all. No jobs in the federal government. They're taking away grant programs for black women. You think black people in general are going to get grants and programs or loans, right? Before Obama, it was hard to get a business loan if you were African American. He changed the rules on that. Biden's been helping black businesses. That's why it's been a boom in black entrepreneurship. You think they're going to let that keep happening? No, they're not. They're giving us the script. Read the script. So we can rip that shit up and we don't have to get to the movie. We can say we don't want this movie to come out. Read the script. Let's go. So we kind of talked about Clarence already and his more trips that he had. Mifepristone. So that's what's going on too. I think it was today and tomorrow. There are decisions coming down from the Supreme Court on the different cases that they've heard. I would assume that the immunity thing would be tomorrow. Like, it's got to come out, right? Because aren't these people about to go on like vacation or whatever they do for like the summer? So I would imagine they have to make that decision on the immunity. I heard like today and tomorrow that they're going to be throwing down these decisions. So Mifepristone, the Supreme Court decided not to take on that case. It's just, it stays the same. Nothing's going to happen. I guess Kavanaugh was the lead on this, and basically he's saying, like, who was injured? Why, to the plaintiffs, like, why are we bringing this here? Who was injured here? Mifepristone has not injured you. If someone is, because I guess the plaintiffs brought this case because Mifepristone is the abortion pill. Like, if you're 10 weeks or less pregnant, you could take Mifepristone for an abortion. These conservative doctors were saying, like, well, what if someone takes Mifepristone, at home, and, they start, I don't know, having issues with it, then they have to go into the emergency room and a conservative doctor is there, and now they need an actual abortion because there's issues, and the conservative doctor doesn't want to have to do that. Well, we all know, and the courts asked this question just to confirm, and so it can be on the record, these doctors are protected. They don't have to do it. If it is against their religion, they do not have to perform an abortion, even if it's in an emergency situation, in an emergency room. They do not have to perform it. So why do we have this case? You're not being harmed because you're already protected by the law. So why are you bringing this case? I mean, we know why they're bringing the case, but that's why it didn't go anywhere and they didn't have a cause of action. There's no reason to celebrate because they will be back. Not these plaintiffs, but there will be a plaintiff. Republicans will find a plaintiff to bring this case again so that it goes to the Supreme Court. Because the Supreme Court, they basically told them what they need to do. You need to be harmed by Mifepristone. Then it can come to the Supreme Court. Right now, we can't do anything. So it's still there. It still can be used, but it's coming. They're going to try to get rid of it. If there's a Trump presidency, it will be gone. They want nothing abortion, and which is crazy because Mifepristone doesn't just do that. It, as all drugs, have different properties that can help different things. Like Mifepristone is also used for high blood pressure. I know, right? Like, so what do we say? You can't give it to people that have high blood pressure either, because it's used that way. It's the same with birth control. They don't want you to have birth control either. They're going to come after that. Birth control is also used to control bad cramps and heavy periods. That's why people use birth control too. It's not always for, controlling not having children, which why, again, does the government want to do this? But this is something that they want to do. So they want you to not have birth control, but they also want to control whether force you to give birth. If you don't have birth control and you get pregnant, they want you to force you to give birth, but they also don't want women to use IVF to get pregnant. So the women who desperately want children, they want to deny them the use of IVF to have children. And then families that don't want children, they want to force them to have the children. Can't make this shit up. It's just wild, right? It's really wild. I heard a story before I leave, and then I'm going to let Joy Reid bring her back up and let her tell you what happens to the Supreme Court if we do not vote in this election. But while we're talking about abortion, there was another story that came out. It was Kaitlyn Kash. And there's a lot of these stories, and it's just that a lot of these women do not come forward. So there's more than the ones that we know. So Kaitlyn Kash was pregnant. Forgive me, because I briefly heard this on TV and I didn't even look it up to get all of the details, which I should have. So I don't know how many weeks she was when she found out that her fetus had a condition called brittle bones, and that's not the technical term for it, because of course I didn't write down the technical term for it, but the condition was brittle bones. So it was a severe too, because there are levels to the condition, but this was a severe case. And that means that the bones can just break for no reason. Like they just break. And because the fetus had a severe case, there were going to be issues with the lungs as they expand and hit that rib cage. And they basically told her that if she carried to full term, that baby, after she delivered, the baby would suffocate. The lungs would suffocate because there was going to be an issue with the lungs expanding, and then the ribs, and then the rib cage may break. It's a lot of complicated stuff. But the main point was that this baby would suffer. This baby would be in pain. She wouldn't have been able to even touch that baby or hold that baby, to be honest with you, if it had severe brittle bone syndrome. She's in Texas, so no abortion, no matter what. It didn't matter. The doctors could not suggest abortion or mention abortion, no matter how much she was asking, what do I do now? What happens now? So when she left the doctor's office and went up front, the receptionist had printed out all of her medical records so that she could take somewhere else, like she understood it. So they gave her records. So that's what she did. She flew. Did I mention that Amarillo, Texas is trying to make it so that women cannot travel their highways out of state to have an abortion? Just thought I'd add that, because that's another thing that they're trying to do. Stop women from traveling on the expressway to have a medical procedure, whatever the case. So she flew to, I can't remember if it was New Mexico. I don't know where she went to have the medical procedure that she needed, which was awful, because, I'm rushing through this story. But if you think about it, this woman who wanted to have a baby finds out that her baby has a terminal condition. She has to go right away because time is ticking. And then she still has to wait, even if she finds a clinic out of state that will do it. There's a waiting period for it. So time was ticking for her. So she had to rush to do this, try to digest that she was going to lose something that she desperately wanted. So it was just a lot that women are being put through. But the story doesn't end there. So she did get that medical procedure. She did want a child, so they tried again. She subsequently became pregnant 2 more times. She had 2 miscarriages. Those came with problems as well, because as she was miscarrying, she needed Mifepristone and to help her finish the miscarriage. The pharmacies in Texas did not want to give it to her because they were unsure of the law with giving someone Mifepristone and what the condition had to be in order to get it. Did she have to be near dead? Did it have to be an emergency condition? I mean, she's miscarrying in the process at the pharmacy, and they're not giving her Mifepristone. And she finally found, this is what, both of the miscarriages, and she finally found a pharmacy that would do it. Okay. That was that. Then she said in her head, let me figure out what is going on. Why am I having these miscarriages? Whatever. Decided to go through IVF. IVF worked for her. I mean, thank God it's working now, because that's something else that they're trying to ban. So IVF worked. She gave birth to a daughter, happy and excited. She got sick afterwards, right? I don't know if it was the afterbirth that broke off, because that kind of happened to me with one of my children. So she was there. They had to take the baby away. She had like postpartum issues. So the doctor came in, checked her out. She needed to have a DNC. A DNC is kind of considered an abortion. Now, this is a postpartum procedure now, because she's already had the baby, but they need the DNC to kind of clean her out, right? Right? Easy, right? No, because now she's there. She's lying there, getting sicker by the minute. And they're trying to figure out if they can do the procedure without legally getting in trouble. Then her blood started coming out of her IV because she started hemorrhaging. While they were trying to figure out the legalities, she's literally dying. This is what's happening to women. One woman suffering is one woman suffering too much. That's too many. One is too many. But we know it's not one. We know it's not two. We know it's not 10. We know that every single day women are suffering. It's not just in Texas, it's in Idaho, where you have to have a dire emergency before they'll take care of you. That's being heard at Supreme Court too. They got to decide on that. They're deciding on, for a woman, how close to death do you have to be before they give you an abortion, before you're allowed. That's what they're deciding on right now for Idaho, the Supreme Court. They're haggling. Is it scarring of the what organ? The liver, the pancreas, or the ovaries? Maybe the ovaries. I don't know. Let's think about that. Like, are you serious? How sick do you have to be? That's what's decided. That's where we are. Aren't you tired of hearing me tell these stories? Because I'm tired of talking about them. And if you're tired of hearing about them, then we have to vote. Like, stop with the economy already. That it's nonsense. How do you think the economy is going to be when you're forced to have children, or your kid is raped and they're forced to have a baby, and you are now a young grandmother and you have to take care of your kid and then your kid's kid? How's your kitchen table issues going to be then? You think you're going to be better? Trump's going to hook you up? You think you're going to write you a check, a stimmy? He's not doing that. He's the blame. Republicans don't even want to feed the kids this summer. Free meals. They said nope. Can't get free meals. You're forcing people to have babies and you won't even give them the support that they need. You're forcing them to have babies and you don't even want to give them the Medicare, the medical care that they need. They don't want to lower the prices. They don't want to create laws for price gouging. They don't want to do any of that. The only thing that they want to do is support Donald Trump. That's it. He was right up there today at the Capitol, as everyone keeps saying, right back at the scene of the crime. He was there chilling. They said, oh, no, he's there so we can discuss policy. No, he wasn't. He wasn't there to discuss policy. He was there to talk to Mike Johnson because they've already had the phone call to figure out what can Congress do to help him with that state case in Georgia. or the case that he has, like, does he have to go to jail? Like, he wants to be able to move whatever state cases he has to federal government, because then to the federal court system, because then if he becomes president, then he can get rid of it. So now House MAGAs are trying to work on a way to make this happen for him. They're not working for you. They don't care about you. Trump just said it this week. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. He does not care about you. He just wants your vote. They're not talking about policy. They just scream certain things. Border, crime. That's all they do. They never go into the weeds of this is what we need to do. How are they screaming about the border when there's a border plan sitting collecting dust that a Republican hashed out with Democrats? Most conservative border plan there is. They're getting everything. All the boxes are checked. Donald Trump said don't do it because don't give Biden a win. These are not people who are serious about the border. They're not fighting for you. They're fighting for Trump. This is who Trump is fighting for.
140 officers were injured. The siege lasted for 7 hours.
Stoking the flames of division and hate. Now he's pouring gasoline.
They were unbelievable patriots.
Pledging to pardon the extremists who tried to overthrow our government.
We will give them pardons.
Inciting them to try again. There is nothing more sacred than our democracy. But Donald Trump's ready to burn it all down.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
So those are the hostages and the warriors. And fallen soldiers are the suckers and the losers. FYI. So I'm going to close up now because it's getting late, but I'm going to let Joy Reid explain to you what's going to happen if Donald Trump becomes president and why the Supreme Court is so important, who's deciding the next justices.
General, independents, Republicans who care about being a democracy need to wrap their minds around the fact that if Donald Trump becomes president, Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas will immediately retire. They're both in their 70s. They want to retire under a Republican. We now know they are naked partisans. They're not jurists by any stretch of the imagination. They will retire, and Donald Trump will replace them with 30-something and 40-something-year-old versions of themselves, meaning Donald Trump will have appointed at that point 5 out of 9 members of the United States Supreme Court. He will have created a court that will last for 50 years or more. That is the legacy he will then inherit as somebody who did not win the popular vote the first time, who got a stolen court seat that he was allowed to flip after Justice Ginsburg died. This is insanity that people are even considering doing it.
Yeah. It's insanity. But anyway, I am sorry, guys, that we went over a little bit, but thank you for rocking and rolling here. Go Celtics. They're on tomorrow, so hopefully we just go on and get a win and finish it up. And then you don't have to hear me talk about the Celtics anymore, except for on Tuesday when I talk with Brian on the Black and White Show. So see me there on Tuesday at 8 o'clock along with Brian, and I will talk to you later. Be safe out there, guys. Bye-bye. As soon as I end the stream.